Hey, welcome back to another episode, Your Florida Realtor. What I'm doing is going through exam number 7, questions 600 to 601 to 700. And if you're watching this video, one of the best things you can do is slap in an earbud, do your housework, go for a walk, enjoy this beautiful Florida weather. Because when it comes down to it, sitting in front of this book of 19 chapters is just not very entertaining. So let me go ahead and read these questions out to you. Go ahead and listen to them over and over again, and let's get this test passed. As previously stated, Q&A cram exam number 7. I am not doing any or trying not to do any of the math questions. Once I get all 10 cram exams done, I'm going to do a complete recap of the math. I'm going to try to do some math problems, the ones that are most likely to be on the Florida real estate exam. So here we go, Q&A cram exam number 7. All the following are services of real estate requiring a license except building. You do not need a real estate license to do building. What is the most effective method of describing real property? And the answer is meets and bounds method. A real estate broker asks his sales associate to commit an illegal act. What should the sales associate do? Refuse to comply and withdraw from the relationship. What is required for transferring a title? 2 witnesses signed and delivered. All of the following cause a forfeiture of a corporation's charter except bankruptcy. All the following are factors of production in a free enterprise system except growth. Where will a meets and bounds description always start and finish? At the same point. A broker is in a full representation relationship with a principal. What is the name of this relationship? It is called a single agency. Which encumbrance might cloud a title? The answer is a judgment. A licensed sales associate receives a cash binder deposit from a buyer of a parcel of land. Before the sales associate can give the deposit to the broker, the sales associate loses the deposit. Who is responsible? The broker and the sales associate. What is the opposite of north 20 degrees west? So the opposite of north 20 degrees west would be south 20 degrees east. Which of the following estates involves ownership of real property? A freehold estate. A sales associate represents a buyer in a transaction and is asked to give an opinion about a title. What may the sales associate do? And you can quote an opinion from a competent attorney, but most likely an attorney is not going to give an opinion of a title either. Just a heads up. How does a marketable record title of real property, a MARTA, relate to curling defect in a title? Limit the period of search required to establish a valid and marketable root of title to the last 30 years. A broker shows a house to a prospect, making a statement that they are going to love the elementary school. This is an acceptable statement. Talking about the schools and surrounding areas, definitely acceptable. Which is considered to be interest in real property, and that's an easement. What are real estate taxes are based upon? That doesn't even make sense. What are real estate taxes are based upon? Assessed value. Not quite sure who wrote that question. The Florida Real Estate Commission oversees and enforces which of the following? State licensing law. Florida Statute 475. Hewitt, a wealthy landowner, wishes to donate a large tract of land to the university alma mater. Hewitt does not want to be responsible for any claims. What type of deed will Hewitt probably use? That's a quitclaim deed. What is an abstract of title? The history of all record documents concerning a property. What term is used to refer to a lien imposed on a property for non-payment of materials or labor to improve a property? And that's a construction lien. What must be included in real estate ads and or on signs? Name of the brokerage firm. What keeps a landowner in a key location position from preventing the progress of the entire community? And that's eminent domain. In a general partnership, which partner does not necessarily have which of the following? Equal shares of the profit of the partnership. Mary deeds John a property for John's lifetime. Upon John's death, the property will be transferred to Fred. What is Fred's interest in the property? It's a remainder estate. He gets what's left. A valid real estate sales contract requires all the following except a substantial earnest money deposit. When a buyer withdraws an offer prior to being accepted by the seller, what should the broker do? Give the deposit back to the buyer. If a grantor is insolvent, which of the following deeds would be the best for the buyer's point of view? And that's any deed. Quitclaim deed, general warrant deed, bargain and sales deed. And the answer is any deed. Due to the possible problem with clear and marketable title, a broker should avoid properties owned by which type of business? And it's corporate sole, S-O-L-E, sole. Which type of lien may be retroactive to an earlier date, thus taking priority over other liens? And that's a construction lien. If you own one section of land described as South 25, Tier 2S, R2W, what section would be two sections to the west of your section? And that'd be S27, because the section moved 2 times to the other side. T2S, R2W. I'll read that question over again, so you have to kind of visualize how you map it out. If you owned one section of land described as S25, T2S, R2W, what section would be two sections to the west of your section? And it's S27, T2S, R2W. Florida law requires that brokers place escrow deposits into escrow account. What else required by law regarding that account? The broker be the signer on the account. Which clause in a deed contains the grantor's name and the legal description? And that's granting and premise clause. So it says right in the question, which clause in the deed contains a grantor's name and the legal description? And it's granting or premise clause. What term is used to refer to damages that are specified in contract? And that's liquidated damages. What can defects and clause on title be cleared? And that's a quitclaim. Quitclaims can clear up clause on title. Which action by a broker is an example of commingling? It's when you're placing money into their personal. So they're placing escrow money into their personal account. That's commingling. How would an owner show marketable title? And that's title insurance. Under what authority are cities and counties allowed to enact zoning ordinances? And that's police power. In a lien theory state like Florida, what will the borrower receive after marketing or making their final payment? And you get a letter of satisfaction. Sue Douglas wishes to open a real estate brokerage corporation, Sunshine Realty Incorporated. When ordering her sign, she is required to include all the following items except, and she doesn't have to put the office phone number on the sign. What is a title plant? A system of records collected and filed by legal description. When should a broker earn commission? When employed to find a purchaser. And the answer is B and C. B reads, when a signed offer from a ready, willing, and able buyer is brought to the seller. And C reads, when the terms are acceptable to the seller. Halfway through here. What type of listing allows the seller to list their home with more than one broker? It's an open listing. Complete the sentence. An oral lease in excess of 1 year may also be referred to as a tenancy at will. What is the deadline for a broker to deposit all earnest money funds? The close of the third business day except or following the receipt. So the first day that you receive it doesn't count. So it's 3 days after that. What happens with negative amortization? The loan balance increases, like in an ARM. Which entity may insure home loans made by approved lenders? And that's FHA, Federal Housing and Lending. So it says, which entity may insure? FHA insures, VA guarantees. So which entity may insure home loans made by approved lenders? And that's FHA. Which of the following is required in real estate brokerage partnership? At least one of the partners must be an active broker. If both the buyer and the seller make claims on an escrow money held by the broker, within how many business days is the broker required to notify FREC if the dispute remains unresolved? And the answer is 15 days. A Florida real estate licensee is permitted to draw up which of the following items? And is a sales contract and the approved fill-in-the-blank residential lease. Once an offer is accepted and the escrow deposit is in the broker's account, the broker holds the deposit on behalf of which party or parties, and is both the buyer and seller. Which of the following is required in real estate brokerage limits partnership? The partnership must be registered with the department. Bob and Mary have agreed to participate in a limited number of transactions. So listen to that again. Bob and Mary have agreed to participate in a limited number of transactions. Bob and Mary have no right to obligation or bind each other. What business relationship have they formed? That'd be a joint venture because it's limited number. Which form of escrow settlement procedures requires a party to abide to an objective third party's decision after a hearing? And that's arbitration, because during arbitration you have to agree with whatever they agree with. All the following are essential elements of real estate contract except witnessed and under seal. The Three Stooges, Larry, Curly, and Moe, from the partnership of oral agreement. Moe and Curly buy a property and sign a contract under the partnership's name, which applies. All three are liable. Which of the following elements must an option contract contain? And it's valuable consideration. When estimating the value of a business, an appraiser would normally use which approach? And that's an income approach for a business. A real estate sales associate may accept commission from which of the following? The sales associate employer, the only person that can receive money from. Which would never appear in a real estate sales contract, and that's exculpatory clause. That's always hard for me to say, I'm not sure why. Why can't a sales associate work for more than one broker or one owner-developer at the same time? The sales associate or broker associate is an agent of the broker or owner that they are working for. Under which agreement does a party give up all their rights under a lease? And that's an assignment. What is the most probable price that a property will bring in an open market or a competitive market? And that's market value. Which business structure incorporates limits as well as unlimited liability? And that's limited partnership. I mean, they talked about limited and unlimited multiple times, so that makes sense. Limited partnership. You guys can make sure that, like, when you're reading the question, a lot of times the answer is right there. Just make sure you read all the answers first, then read the question, and then read the answers. Complete the sentence. When all terms and conditions have been clearly stated, a contract is said to be, Once again, how is it stated? The answer is expressed. When all terms and conditions have been clearly stated, the contract is said to be expressed. EXPRESSED, expressed. A broker has 2 apartments listed and given their unlicensed assistant a 3x5 card with printed information to read to any prospects who call and inquire about the apartment. Which statement is correct? As long as the assistant reads the printed information and does not give subjective opinion, there is no violation. Which type of lease is typically used in commercial real estate where the tenant pays both the rent and expenses, and that'd be a net lease? Which condition is an example of functional obsolescence? That's 5 bedroom, so it's a 5-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. It's not functional. 2 brokers sharing space is in a manner whereas the public presumes the brokers are partners may be engaged in what is referred to as quasi-partnership. Farmer Jones meets broker Brown at a cocktail party. Jones and Brown agree if Brown sells Jones's farm for $650,000 within 30 days, Jones will pay Brown a 6% commission, which applies. This is a contract, and Brown is entitled to a commission if the broker performs. What is the instrument that is used to pledge real estate property as security as a debt? That's also known as a mortgage. To whom does a deed of trust convey title? And that's to a third party. What must a sales associate do when they change employers? They must notify the department using a change of status form. Sales associate Sally decides to use a post office box for all of her mail even though she has not actually moved out of her house. Which statement applies? She must notify the department of her address change within 10 days. Which statement best describes a quitclaim deed? It does not warrant the title. How would the purchase price be correctly entered on a closing statement? So let me read that question again. How would the purchase price be correctly entered on a closing statement? So you're going to debit the buyer and you're going to credit the seller. Which business structure makes a principal personal responsibility for any debts incurred in the name of the entity? And that is partnership. An option contract is a right to buy a property during a specific period of time at a specified price. How many days do you have to redeem an option once it is expired? And the answer is 0. Specific time, specific price, once it's expired, no days left. A broker receives a deposit check on Monday and deposits it in his escrow account the following Monday. The check is returned with non-sufficient funds, NSF. What fraud has the broker committed? Culpable negligence, failing to deposit the check immediately. As we discussed before, you receive it. The day you receive it is 0. You have 3 days afterwards, not a whole 7 days, as talked about in that question. Which of the following is a characteristic of a general partnership? The partners agree to share in the profits and debts of the partnership. Looks like I want to have a couple more questions here. Broker Troy and Gail agree to cooperate on the sale of Jackie's house. The deal is closed and Jackie pays the full commission to Troy, the listing broker. Troy refuses to pay Gail her share. Of what may Troy be guilty? Failure to account and deliver is the answer. And the last question before all the math questions. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. I know this is not all that entertaining, but I'm trying to do the best I can to get the information out so you can listen to it and at least get something out of this. Complete the sentence. A joint venture is typically created, and as for a single project, that's the best answer out of these ones. All right, guys, I appreciate it. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment below. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, and let's get this test passed.